Y'all better get a jump start on y'all New Year's resolution. I know y'all fat ass done sat up and ate all that damn Thanksgiving food and leftovers for 3 days. You better get some of this tea to purge yourself and some of this NutriBurst to give you energy to work out. Drop down in the description box and click the link to purchase this and other fine health and wellness products. That's a girl, they don't let Brittney Griner out the thing, honey. She is home free. About to eat some coochie tonight, child. And Deion Sanders done left the HBCUs and went over there to play with the white boys in Colorado. Want to talk about it? Why I'm talking about what this lady eating for dinner. Here you go. Girl, what y'all hoes eating for dinner tonight? Bitch, we know what Brittney Griner ass about to eat. Yes. Hit it hard from the bike. Roll around to the front. I know you heard a lot of things, but 12 plays what you want. Ooh, baby, they finna listen to Keith Sweat, Johnny Gill, R. Kelly. They finna listen to all the Kellys tonight, baby. Yes, God, Brittney Griner, you better get it in for me too, child. Welcome back, sis. But Nessa, girl, you know, I'm a bit appalled because as I scrolled up and down my timeline, it's a lot of y'all out there that ain't happy that sis is home. You know, I was mortified to see how many black people were on my timeline across various social media platforms. And speaking of, I'm suspended from Instagram for another 30 days, y'all. So I won't be back on Instagram till like January 5th or 6th. Just an FYI, I don't say it something or cuss somebody. I don't know. Anyway, a lot of people seem to be disappointed talking about she broke their laws or whatever. People need to know the laws when they go to other people's countries. We exchanged an arms dealer for a basketball player. I don't see how that's a fair trade. And you know what? Regardless of what we traded her for, what she was in jail for, how about you just step up out of all of that? And let's just be happy that a black sister is home. Like, fuck all the conversation about why she was over there, what she did and shouldn't have did. I think we can all agree that the sentence was excessive. And there are some of y'all out there that are still leaning on the excessive or not, she broke their laws. And you know what? I'm not here to persuade you or to make you change your mind. But if that is your position, can you find enough humanity in your soul to come up off it and say, in spite of the fact that she broke their laws, praise the Lord that a miracle happened and we got our sister home? How about that? Let's do that. Now, I took some notes because there's some things that we have to talk about, right? I'm not going to lie to you. My biggest concern with the Brittney Griner situation and swapping Brittney Griner for another prisoner, and they spoke about this in a lot of the political articles and whatever that's out there, was that we did not want to create a climate where foreign countries began kidnapping Americans as a means to gain leverage to negotiate for the exchange of prisoners. This is still very likely to occur. So for those of y'all traveling abroad to those countries that we don't have good relationships with or that are not very westernized, be careful and be cognizant of what you're doing. That still is a very a concern of mine. And I'm going to be very honest with you. And I said this on TGIF. Sometimes you have to sacrifice the few for the many. All right. And if the United States would have made the decision that in the best interest of national security, we are not going to negotiate a trade for Brittney Griner because we don't want to open up the floodgates for other countries trying to kidnap Americans in exchange for trade. While I would have felt very bad for Brittney, I would have supported the decision 100%. I would have supported it, and it would have been, oh well, sis, you finna go down as a martyr, but we can't sacrifice the whole goddamn United States for one person, and that's just being real. But I'm glad she's out. Now, a lot of y'all are making this argument about, we traded somebody that got in trouble for a vape, for an arms dealer. And a lot of y'all just shooting shit out the side of y'all mouth. It's not like the man was sentenced to life in prison. It's not like the man even committed a crime against citizens of the United States. The man was placed in jail for 25 years for negotiating with undercover operatives to sell weapons, and the undercovers told them that they were going to use the weapons to kill United States pilots, and he was quoted saying to them, "We have the same enemy." Now, granted, his efforts and the things he did, and if those weapons got in the wrong hands, could have caused the U.S. a lot of harm, but nothing he did directly caused harm to the U.S. He's most notably in trouble for providing arms to the Taliban and Al-Qaeda to do crimes in Rwanda. Those are his biggest crimes to humanity. There's something else that's worth pointing out. Brittney Griner was sentenced to 9 years. He had 10 years left on his sentence. Brittney Griner was the highest profiled U.S. citizen in Russian jail. He was the highest profiled Russian citizen in U.S. jail. So when put on those terms, it does make sense. It was a fair trade. It was a fair swap. And negotiations are not all about your vantage point. When doing a negotiation, we both have to benefit, and you have to look at it from Russia's vantage point. Okay? They're like, y'all got a high profile person, we got a high profile person. And now that I'm speaking this out loud, it could be possible that they gave Brittney Griner the sentence that they gave her so that the two sentences would match up, so that it would look more appealing to us. Okay, either she can serve out her 9 years and he serve out his, or y'all let him go 10 years early and she get let go 9 years early. It sounds like an even swap, despite the fact that their crimes are, very vastly in the level of intensity. From a negotiating standpoint, internationally, it was a fair swap. Another thing that a lot of people were bringing up, particularly feminists and people who are in support of women's sports, were saying, we need to talk about the pay disparities between the WNBA and the NBA, which cause our black women or our female athletes to have to go overseas and play. So yes, we can all agree that there are huge pay disparities between the NBA and the WNBA, right? However, this is not an issue that we need to have an act of Congress to fix, because the reality of the situation is the NBA brings in substantially more money than the WNBA. Not to mention the NBA subsidizes the WNBA. I don't mean to sound cold, but the very women who have these comments, or the very women who have these sentiments about pay disparity, are the very women who don't even fucking watch the WNBA. Y'all don't even watch the shit. You can call it rooted in sexism. You can call it rooted in misogynism, misogynoir, however you pronounce it. But the reality of the situation is people don't like seeing hoes play sports. And we could save that conversation as to why and delve into as the why on a whole nother day. The very same people who sitting here listening to my voice, y'all got your favorite basketball teams, the Celtics, the Heat, the this person, the that person, the Lakers, but y'all are the same people who do not watch WNBA sports, women's soccer, women's baseball, women's whatever. And I have a female audience. Y'all have to ask yourselves, why don't y'all watch it? And probably for the same reason I don't. Don't nobody want to see the shit. You know what I'm saying? And when we dig deeper, yes, it probably is rooted in sexism. We're taught that men are supposed to be sports-like and brutes and athletic, and women are supposed to bake cookies and wear dresses and plant flowers. I mean, I don't know. I guess that's the reason. But with that being said, if the organization that you are part of is not bringing in the level of revenue that said organization that the NBA is bringing in, then that's not a fair comparison. That is a false equivalency. WNBA players should not make remotely the same amount of money that NBA players make because their organization does not bring in the type of money to sustain those salaries. And for all my women out there that want that to change, then y'all need to rally together and put some eyeballs behind the damn sport. But you don't want to, and why? Because you don't want to watch that shit. Just like the rest of us. Don't nobody want to see a bunch of Cleos from Set It Off running up and down the doggone basketball court playing basketball, okay? And y'all can get mad at me and say whatever the hell it is you want to say. I'm telling the damn truth. It is what it is. Don't nobody want to see a field full of lesbians playing tackle football. We don't want to see a court full of butch dykes playing basketball. The people don't want to see it. And if they did, they will watch it because the shit is readily available. Okay, it's readily available. We listen. Let's just be thankful that the LGBTQ women's got someplace that they could play sports safely. Let's just start with that, okay? And while we in the vein of sports and black people and y'all fickleness, let's talk about Deion Sanders really quickly. Now, a lot of y'all are upset that Deion Sanders left Jackson State University and went over to Colorado. Let me start out by saying I'm not a sports person. I'm not all in and out the sports. So for me, I really don't give a damn one way or another from the sports perspective. However, I really did stand behind the movement that Deion seemed to have represented and the movement that he started being at Jackson State. All right. Deion brought a lot of eyeballs to HBCU football. He created a lot of discussion around why these white schools get to suck up the best of our talent, why our very own people don't get to reap the benefit of the boys from our neighborhood that we fostered, that our single mothers have grinded it out for, and the white boys get to get all the revenue and recognition off of their talent, and that it should be these HBCUs capitalizing off of all of that. I definitely agree. Deion Sanders was able to get HBCU football placed on ESPN. That's a huge deal. But here's what we got to stop doing, black people. Everybody has to do their part, right? If we all do our individual part, all the parts combined will make the whole. Y'all cannot single-handedly place the entire burden of saving HBCU football programs on the back of Deion Sanders, all right? That's number one. Number two, basic psychology, all right? It is human nature for any and every person on this planet to behave in a manner that benefits them best. That's just basic psychology, okay? Despite the fact that Deion may not have needed the money, he was making $300,000 a year at Jackson State, in which he donated over half of that back to help them with facilities and various other things like that. And Colorado is offering him $5 million. Now, a lot of people are arguing, saying it's not about the money. It was never about the money. You know what? And actually, it wasn't, because if it was about the money, he would have never taken the $300,000 job. Fact of the matter is, Deion Sanders has enough money in his portfolio that he'll never have to work again. So I doubt that any decision made by Deion Sanders is solely rooted in money. A lot of people feel like Deion Sanders used Jackson State University as a stepping stool to get a greater coaching job, to ultimately get a coaching job in the NFL. Okay, and my response to that is, and if he did, I always say use me, don't abuse me. Okay? And if he did use them as a stepping stool, they benefited. It was a mutually reciprocal relationship. Even if his intentions, which it's clear his intentions were not to stay there forever. It's funny, he lit a fire that we wanted to become an eternal flame, but hopefully somebody will come behind him and carry the torch. Even if he went into it knowing he was leaving, and even if he went into it knowing he was using them, so what? He didn't use them the way some of these niggas using y'all and getting nothing for it. They got a hell of a lot for it in exchange. It was a mutually beneficial relationship. So I don't see nothing wrong with it from a business perspective. Am I disappointed? Yes, I'm disappointed. I have the same emotional reaction all of y'all have. I would have loved for him to have stayed. I would have loved for him to make that fire an eternal flame. But let me ask y'all this. How long do y'all expect somebody to work for wages and conditions that are below their worth? And yes, what he did was a labor of love. It was a volunteer job, and he had his motives. But again, regardless of his motives, they benefited immensely in ways that they would not have been able to without what Deion Sanders brought to that damn team. Now, somebody put in one of my comments, and it did give me food for thought. What about the young men that turned down scholarships at other universities or didn't go other places because they wanted to play up under Deion? From an emotional standpoint, I care. From a practical business standpoint, I don't give a damn. Life happens. Those same boys could have transferred to that school, and Deion could have had a cheating scandal and got suspended or done away with, and they would have been in the same damn situation. You know what I'm saying? Jobs come and go. Hell, your boss ain't guaranteed to be there today or tomorrow. So again, from an emotional place, yeah, it sucks. I feel bad for them, but I also understand business and how business works. And y'all cannot make somebody sideline their personal goals to make y'all feel good about what it is y'all want to see. Now, what I hope is that Deion has set a trend and a model where maybe more people will come after him and give back to HBCUs. Now, what I don't want to see happen is that we get an influx of black men using our HBCUs as stepping stones to get to other places. And I hope that's not the trend that is set. I hope that we do get to a point where we can recruit high level, high profile black coaches to black institutions, and they're able to stay, and the pay can rival that of some of these PWIs and other institutions. But it's going to take us a while to get there. But Deion has definitely laid the foundation for that to be possible someday. I've seen so many memes about the situation that said half of y'all on here leave y'all job for a $2 raise. And that is the truth. It sucks that our black neighborhoods and our black institutions can't retain black talent. But you also have got to understand the psychology of human beings and what you're asking somebody to do. It takes a very special individual to know what their worth is on the market and to say, I'm going to sacrifice all of that to stay here with my people. How many of y'all come from the hood or come from inner city neighborhoods, went off to college and got a good job, good well-paying job that now affords you to live in a nicer community, and you opted to move back to your hood or move back to the inner city that you worked so hard to get out of for the sake of building your community? I'm guilty of it. And I'm sure many of y'all looking at me are guilty of it. So to put that weight on people, and it's just unfortunate because systematic racism has left us in a situation where we don't want to live in our own communities and we don't want to be in our own stuff because systematically it has been at least from a financial perspective, less than, lacking, and or without resources. Now we full of culture. We are rich in culture. We are rich in experience. We are rich in emotion. We are rich in history. But when it comes to the things that make for a comfortable life, a lot of times because of systematic oppression and racism, our stuff is left without. And here's my thing. I got one life to live. And I know the next few words that's about to come out my mouth are going to sound ugly. I have one life to live. And I'm not using what's left of it fighting. Me personally, I'm not using what's left of my life fighting this invisible fight. I don't want to call it imaginary, because it's not imaginary, it's real. You just can't see it. I'm not spending the rest of my life fighting it. That's not what I was put on the earth to do, and that's not where my passion lies. I'm a communicator. I was put on this earth to be in this space. Maybe get somebody else to do it. Maybe her over there. It's two people down there. Maybe them two people down there were put on this earth to fight that fight. Maybe there's another former NFL player who was put on this planet to fight the good fight of taking HBCU football to the top and staying there until retirement because it's a labor of love. I don't know, but all I'm saying is you cannot get mad with somebody who is acting in their best interest, and take that pressure off of Deion. He did his part. The school was not used. He left the place a better place, and that's where it starts and stops. He left it better than it was when he got there. And how many of y'all can say the same thing about anything y'all ass untouched? Catch. That's a girl. That's all I got. Ain't got no more. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll call y'all later. Bah.